Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. We have been talking about the reconnection to the Melchizedek order of neutrality. And I want to kind of expand on certain concepts that have been, that Lord Melchizedek for the past 4 weeks now have been whispering and communicating to me. And I want to share some of that stuff with you. Indeed, for many, many years now, since 2007, when I started publicly teaching, I had been studying with Lord Melchizedek and the Melchizedek Synthesis Ashram Academy with Dr. Stone for many years before that. And I had other teachers before that in a long history. I started doing spiritual work since I was 17 years old. But long and the short is that actively teaching was 2007. And by the way, I started with one student, okay? And it kind of grew from there. What I didn't know at the time is that my Lord Melchizedek energy became very strong around me. And although Dr. Stone was holding the energy of this of Melchizedek of the light of synthesis to merge all religion and belief system into one current. And at the time that he started ascending and teaching, that's what was needed. And what became important to me around 2008 was neutrality. I didn't understand, nor did I know, and in hindsight now everything is clear, that Lord Melchizedek had been guiding me, and for that matter, all of you who are following me and learning from me, through a blind apprenticeship without revealing what he was doing. He was testing our worthiness to see if the energy and the light he wanted to anchor on the planet through the group that I was gathering was worthy of his full attention. And he was guiding me and giving me insight, some deep and penetrating insight, but never fully coming in. He would come into channeling I would do. He would come in and do things and explain certain things, and then after that disappear. Crickets, I wouldn't hear anything from him. I would get insight and I got information. And a lot of time he would use other collective as proxy for information that he wanted us to have. All of it related around the concept of neutrality. Now, I have to tell you, when that idea of neutrality came to me, I didn't understand it. I thought, just declare yourself neutral. I'm neutral. I'm neutral. Is it being Switzerland by not getting involved in any conflicts, or what is it exactly? And I want to share with you my understanding of neutrality at this moment. It's accelerated conflict resolution. And I mean my own inner personal subconscious conflicts, all of the fragments, archetypes, and things and complexes that are internal to me that are causing chaos in the economy of my own complete functioning. And also having that same kind of accelerated conflict resolution, like emotional intelligence and social intelligence, toward how I communicate and interact with others. So first, it's an eternal process. Thus, the teaching I've been giving you on emotional, social, and spiritual intelligence, the Dentian, the query, the idea of accountability, and always holding a mirror or a flashlight to self to find out that the external, the mirror, the outside reflects within. And if there is an external conflict, some part of what's happening outside must exist in me. And for years, we did all of this. So all along, he was behind all of this. He was guiding us, but not out in the open. And there are reasons for this, and he shared some of them with me, and I will share them also with you. Part of it is because in previous attempt of establishing the Melchizedek order on earth, there are multiple other people, including religions and belief systems, who have a strain of the Melchizedek initiation and Melchizedek energy in them. I don't need to name them. You can look around and you can find them. And so all of these energies and all of these things would be, one second, it might be somebody trying to connect to us. All of these energies and all of these things could have created all of these various attempts. A lot of them met with failure because, and I'm going to explain this. I'm trying to find the right word, how to say this. The Melchizedek energy is not just about a connection to the patriarch of the Bible, as explained, as related to the king, emperor, high priest Melchizedek, who initiated Abraham, or as it connects to Master Jesus and other parts of the Bible. It is actually the universal logos, which is the lens through which God manifested all universe with a theme of courage. One can think of Melchizedek or the cluster of Melchizedek. And I mean by cluster the collective, because it's not just one universe, there are multiple universes. We exist in a multiverse environment. That every universe has a Melchizedek, every universe has a different theme for growth, for evolution. There's a theme for hope, a theme for mercy, a theme for love, a theme for gratitude, a theme for courage, a theme, there are multiple themes. And so as it goes, all of these lenses where the infinite and uncreated God, the aspects that is so unlike us, that what is it that the old mystic used to call God? The unmoved mover. God exists in a realm of non-existence, or a form of existence that's so unlike us that it doesn't exist by our own metrics, right? And so because of this, there needed to be a filter or a lens, a transition point that goes from uncreated to created. These are the Melchizedeks. That lens, those various lenses. And in our instance, our Melchizedek was a lens of courage. Now, because it's such a high office and responsibility, the version of Melchizedek that existed, let's say, as reported by the story of Abraham, who encountered this being called Melchizedek, who was the king of Salem in the Bible, that anointed him and prayed on him and initiated him, etc. You have to think of who Abraham was and how God was talking to him, guided him. If this being was able to do this to him without God or the angels interfering, that being must have been of very high order, okay? And probably sent by the uncreated. So, having said all of this, we need to understand that when I'm talking about the cluster of Melchizedek, I'm talking about the groups of the Melchizedek group together, all the multiple lenses, whether it's a universe of mercy, or the universe of love, or the universe of courage, where all of these beings meet together would be called a cloister. The same way in angelic realm, when all the angel comes together, they're called a choir, or in demonic realm, where all of the demons come together, they are called legions. So there are different terminologies for various groupings. So the idea that something that elevated, because if indeed all Melchizedek is in our universe of courage, is the lens or the filter through which everything in the universe got created. He's the soul that animates it. So all of us are subset or overlit by him. Therefore, his exact energy signature exists in all of us. There's nobody that's disconnected to him. Even the dark forces themselves. There's a story about in certain mystical writing that even Kuan Yin, when there's a story about Kuan Yin, when Kuan Yin at some point went into hell, she was so compassionate and so kind that she even listened to the limited, because all of the demons were incomplete creation. They were missing something. But she listened to them and tried to help them be complete. And in the process of doing this, she was changing the landscape of hell so much that it was turning into paradise, to the point that the king of hell was so upset with her, he sent her back into life and said, "You don't belong here because you're changing my kingdom." What I'm trying to say is that a lot of times, if we're interpreting this the right way, there are people who are not on a level of growth, of evolution, having done all this work on emotional, social, and spiritual intelligence. A lot of time I see clients or friends or family members that are asking me questions, and I realize their limitation, and I realize that they are not capable of making the leap. They're not going to be where I am anytime soon. But to the degree that I can, I will assist them to try to bring them along by giving them breadcrumbs, or by giving them something to sustain them, to bring them to the next level. It's something that Melchizedek was doing to all of us since 2007. A blind apprenticeship, a way for us to find our path, a mentorship that we didn't know that was happening. And so I wanted to talk about this because I wanted you to understand that the reason why Melchizedek was doing this with such this testing with such camouflage, it's because in the past, when the energy of Melchizedek comes into somebody's life and gets illumined, the sensation that it creates, it's a gigantic column of light. Or at least for me, the way I perceive in two ways. The more general way is that I feel this incredible golden light, this incredible tall light. Okay? The second way sometimes I see him is an old man with white hair, long beard, like radiant, like blasting, almost like blinding light. And then he would change in the next instant. And I'm looking at him morph into the most vibrant looking young man that I have ever seen. And it's the concept of the Alpha or the Omega, or the beginning and the end, or one, or the Ouroboros, the snake that's swallowing its own tail. When you're connected to something that powerful, and particularly for the average person on the planet who has not done all of the deep accountability and inner query that we have done, it is easy for our ego to get inflated and for us to think that we are superior to other beings for having been anointed and touched by this golden light. Because it creates an incredible elevation and connection to something extremely high. And it's very easy, and this is where the derailment of previous Melchizedek groups that were created happened, is that a lot of these beings didn't check their ego on a regular basis, didn't do the internal work to check themselves to realize that the grandiosity that this connection to Melchizedek can create. And this is where a problem or a deficit can be created in any lineage that's trying to anchor the Melchizedek energy. Because it will make someone feel so connected and so grandiose and so blessed that after a while, the ego can easily slip into thinking that I am anointed and I am superior to others and nothing will touch me. Now, while this may be true, but the true role of the Melchizedek, and this is what Lord Melchizedek was telling me why he did what he did with us. He wanted to test us and make sure that we learn how to deal with our negative ego. Because the true role of a Melchizedek is to be humble and to be of service and to radiate generosity and love to others. That's the real role of the Melchizedek. And if you're calling yourself a priest or a priestess of Melchizedek and you don't have the humility and you're not in service, you're not broadcasting that light and sharing it with others, you're not helping others acquire the same illumination that you have, you're not mentoring others the way Melchizedek has mentored you so far, or your teachers have mentored you so far, then something is wrong. Your egos is in the way. You have a different agenda. You want personal glorification, and not just glorification. Let's call a spade a spade. You want power, because the energy of Melchizedek will give you power as well. Any questions, any comments so far?
There was a question that came to my mind when you were speaking back a ways, and I didn't want to interrupt it. And it's not an important consideration, of course, but when you're talking about how Lord Melchizedek appeared to you first as a brilliant column of golden light, and then in a more physical or human-related physical form, I wonder if that was because that's how we, or you with your connection, of course, to human incarnations, would be able to perceive. But does he have a form? Does he appear only as we would want to or hope to see him? Does he have a form?
I don't know that he has a physical form, but I'm sure he can take physical abandon. For being that's the source of everything that exists in this universe, he can take any form he wants, right? But to explain to me that the fact that he is the Ouroboros, he showed up as this old man, but radiant with light, and then changed immediately into this beautiful, like the most handsome man I've ever seen in my entire life.
It sounds like it is a way to relate to you that he took such.
And yeah, absolutely. And also to represent it, he is the embodiment of the divine masculine energy.
That's interesting. Yeah. So there is a masculine and a feminine, or perhaps a neutral energy universally.
Yes. He is not. I have never seen Melchizedek appear as a feminine visage. Kuan Yin, for example, can appear as a man. She can show up as a woman, as a young girl, as all kinds of things, and a lot of times she shows up as a man. But Melchizedek does not show, from my personal experience, it's generally a column of light. It's illumination.
I should think that would be, yes, something out of our normal realm
Yes.
experience, as the blessed field is not a form. God doesn't isn't an old man with a white beard sitting on a throne, but he appears in some cultures, I think, in a way that they could perceive somebody that of that stature. It was just a curious question to me, as I've never had any experience of him in a form.
Yes. Yes. Most people see him as a column of light or as an energy, a gigantic, tall energy. Yes. Yes. You're totally right. And I have to tell you exactly, okay, let me qualify exactly how Melchizedek appeared, since you're asking the question. I was doing a healing for someone. It was a husband and wife couple, and I was doing the healing for the husband, but the wife was in the room. And it was toward the end of the healing, and I stood at the end of the table and I was grabbing his foot. And suddenly, between me and I'm standing at the end of the table holding the bottom of his foot, all of a sudden between us appeared this light, and the light changed, and I saw this old man with the long beard. Like, he was so illuminated from within, from his skin, like radiant, like not normal. And then suddenly it changed, and I saw this beautiful, this incredibly handsome man. And then the vision disappeared. Now, the interesting thing, the healing was finishing, the healing ended, and then when the healing ended, the wife piped up and said to me, he was watching what was happening, said to me, Melchizedek was here, right? I smiled and I said, yes. She said, I could see the light. I knew it was Melchizedek. So, although she didn't see the vision I saw, but she could see the illumination. That's the context in which I saw him as because a lot of people experience him as, and if you see him appear, and the reason for the Ouroboros, the old and the new at the same time, it's because in the higher dimension, there is the connection, not just with the 3D, the 3 axis of time, of space, but it brings in the time or the tesseract, which is the idea of a cube that's inverting on itself. So everything is known completely from beginning to end, and the end goes back into the beginning. That's the energy of Melchizedek.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? That's the reason he showed up this way, to demonstrate the idea of the tesseract.
I see.
A time loop where everything begins and ends. It's not so much about being human and not being human.
Mm-hmm.
It was about demonstrating the concept that his frequency transcends.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in 3D, it's transcendental.
Thank you. I understand.
So one of the things we should be monitoring our consciousness with, and we should be very careful about, is that as we are now moving toward a deeper and closer and more open mentorship from Lord Melchizedek, we should be very careful and monitor that our negative ego is not getting inflated by a sense of grandiosity, entitlement, and privilege in thinking about our power. Because the true energy of the Melchizedek. Although all of these things are absolutely true, you're going to get the power. We're going to get the connection to incredible gifts, incredible abilities, and enhancement in all aspects of our lives. But the true gift is for us to realize, as this is stepping down, is for us to realize the very important thing: responsibility. And that responsibility is to serve, take all of that energy and put it into service toward others. Because we are now an anchoring mechanism for that gigantic celestial energy of courage to empower and bless and generously change and transform other people's life. We have to keep this in mind and keep monitoring our consciousness and see, as we've been doing with the Dantien, with the query, keep checking to make sure that we're not allowing the connection to that incredible liberation that the Melchizedek energy brings, that we don't allow it to trigger the ego. And I have to say to you, it doesn't matter at what level that you're at as part of the Melchizedek order, your ego can be tripped. Because we're all still human beings. Your ego can be tripped to, or you can become emotionally reactive, and your ego can inflate to think of yourself as being privileged and better, and therefore there are certain things you shouldn't be doing, and certain things should not touch you because you're anointed and you're special. And like Abraham, you were touched by Melchizedek, and therefore you have something better than others. And I have met people that were part of various Melchizedek order who have said exactly that to me. Exactly what I told you, that they are anointed and they've been touched by Melchizedek and they've been initiated, and therefore certainly, I've heard people say this out loud. So we should be very careful that we are monitoring our own ego, and that we understand that my teacher, Dr. Stone, said it to me when I became a branch leader for him. He said, Pierre, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's the same, because he was a high priest of Melchizedek, and he was teaching the teaching of Melchizedek, and he was transmitting this to me. With great power comes great responsibility. And we should be thinking about this. And the additional thing to add is that past the seventh level initiation, from initiation, first level initiation, all the way to seventh, everything that we are doing may be more or less, it's not completely true, but it's more or less related to our own internal, the making peace from within. Okay? The subconscious fragments, the broken, our own internal brokenness, our own internal trauma, it's trying to create peace in that direction. But once you pass the seventh level initiation, for you to grow and go beyond, you have to be able to transmit that same internal peace and serenity. You have to now take it outside and have it interact with someone else. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. And it's in that process that we are trying to share the illumination and the connection to Melchizedek that we know, and trying to share it with the rest of the world. It is in that process that of our ascendance or lack thereof will be determined. Success and failure, and there is no such thing as failure, to be perfectly honest. It's just tests. It's just the ability to correct and to always make correction. Remember, I talked about neutrality as being accelerated conflict resolution. Whether the conflict is internal initially, initiation, first to seventh initiation, then external. How do you project that energy out right? How do you project that energy out? And when you project it out, how do you have it consider the interdependence that all being in this universe have? This is very tall. This is a high and sophisticated thing to consider. So first, it's internal to us. All of the denting, all the stuff we've been doing for all these years that I've been mentoring you and teaching you. Then now we are projecting it out. Beyond time and space, we're projecting it out. We're projecting our entire Antakarana out. And we're doing this because we're trying to create a measure of God. This is when the rod of a magician is stricken down. And since there is no straight line in the universe, when you strike something or shoot a bullet or an arrow, if there was no gravity, no friction, and endless velocity, that bullet would have turned to create a circle and come hit you in the back, or that arrow would come and hit you in the back. So the straight line that you strike with an intention will create a space or a circle that may be the holding place for an intention or for you to create an exception in which the laws of nature can be superseded. And for the benefit of the people in your circle of influence that you're trying to mentor. If you see a natural disaster, danger, or something to that effect, you can, and it can be done very quickly. It's one sentence. Beyond time and space, and done correctly with the right energies. And when you do this and you project it out, that energy is projected out, and it will create this. The representation in this is that in all grimoire, magical grimoire, you have all of these symbols and glyphs with circles that are with where to place the candles and all of that, and incense burner, and all. The circle was a measure of God. But you don't need the circle. You don't need the rod. In the true Melchizedek order that Melchizedek is trying to establish, what he's saying is that all you need, because the rod is your own antakarana. It's your chakra column going all the way back to God, all the way back to Melchizedek. And when you strike it, you're connecting yourself to the Melchizedek rod around which the entire universe rotates. And you do this only for service. That's the point. You don't use that power for your ego aggrandizement, for you to demonstrate to others what you're capable of doing. You do this for service. Because when you do this, you suspend the laws of nature for the period that you're holding that energy by creating that circle. And inside that circle, and in all magical rituals, there would be a circle for you to invoke a spirit, whether it's an angel or whatever. You would create that circle so that that energy, the celestial force that you would call, was so elevated, so high, you needed to create boundaries. Otherwise, if it comes in, it would create all kinds of disastrous, it will break things and cause all kinds of havoc. But instead of doing this with symbols on the floor and took all the ceremony, all the ritual, you can do it with one sentence, with the right intention. Any questions, any comments?
I do wonder if we were in a state of trying to remember, coming to this planet, answering God's call to assist humanity in whatever state of uh, clarity we existed in, maybe not completely free of all of the conflicts internal, but willing to learn, to grow, to help. Is that, or have we? Oh, I'm not sure how to ask this. Are we trying to remember our previous state, or were we always in our state of incompleteness and we were willing to give it a run in this incarnation?
Okay, first of all, the only for you to become divine is for you to be fully human. And I've been teaching you this, and I hope this stays with you. And you need to understand that to be a Melchizedek is the same way. You have to start from where you are, from your brokenness, from your vulnerability. And it's through that brokenness and that vulnerability, in sitting with it and examining it and listening to it, that, and as you are listening to the pain and the suffering, that pain and that suffering, as you listen to it very carefully, you ask this critical question: what emotional need do I have at this moment that this, my way of reacting, is trying to fulfill?
Mm-hmm.
What is the emotional need? And the moment you discover this, you're on your way toward healing, because your body will, energy doesn't lie, will respond back to you.
That's good.
Okay? And once you understand this, you can realize that how I'm reacting to it right now is clumsy. It's unascended. Then ask God and Melchizedek, demonstrate to me an ascended way to respond to this.
Mm.
And this is how you become divine.
Oh, I like that.
Do you understand what I'm saying? They are not separated. You start from your humanity and your brokenness. That's where you begin. Without it, there is no ascension. Otherwise, everything is a interpolation, it's an approximation, it's an intellectual understanding that is not based on anything solid, anything real, that's real to you. You begin where you are with all of the brokenness that you have. And in asking, having internal query with yourself and realize, I have this pain, I'm reacting, I feel emotionally this way, I feel that way. And then you ask yourself, what is the need that I have in my psyche that this emotion is trying to fulfill? And whatever that answer is, although your body is now responding to it incorrectly with trauma, with all kinds of ways, find now through all Melchizedek and to God the ascended ways to respond to it. And then now that becomes your new path, your path toward elevation and healing. So I don't see the two things as separated, but them as essential. I was talking to a friend of mine, a client, the other day, who was complaining over the fact that he feels depressed, he feels so on and so forth. I am not as smart as I used to be. I used to be, he was a big executive somewhere, and yeah, I used to be so fast, and I used to make decisions so quickly. I can't do this no more. It takes me a lot longer to figure out. I seem to be lethargic, and so on and so forth. And I kept saying to him, the path toward evolution is not a straight line. It's a sine wave. There are peaks and valleys. Moreover, the person you were 5 years ago, you went through a catastrophic illness. The person you were 5 years ago that was quick and fast and that was able to do all of these things and make all this money, that person was deficient in a lot of ways. Yes, you were fast and you were beloved by corporations and all of that, but were you socially intelligent? No. Were you emotionally intelligent enough to include the interdependence with everything? You're a brilliant marketer. You could you know, this is somebody I know that could sell anything, but it bankrupt you. Now what you're going through, this valley, is actually a moment for you to reflect and to realize all of the past uh, 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 quick judgment and the grandiose behavior in the past. You know, I can't travel if it's not first class. I can't do this. But I need to have a Patek Philippe watch. I need to have a Rolex. I need to. All of these things were in your past were behavior that was connected to an ego inflation. Yes, it was beloved by corporation, but now you're becoming so much better because you're now in a valley and you're now trying to heal and repair and real. And the reason you're slow is because most of the time, the way ascendance and growth occur is that it revealed itself drop by drops. It doesn't come like a flash. It revealed itself trickle by trickle, moment by moment. I used the analogy with him. It's like standing in a dense fog and knowing that there is a benevolent energy that's all around you, but not be able to discern where the energy is or what the energy is. And slowly the fog begins to dissipate, but you have to remain still and quiet, surrendering into the knowing that this is a benevolent thing. So when you're in that valley, as a matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, when I'm in the valley, I actually quite like it because I know there's a growth spur that's right behind it. When I'm sitting in the valleys and I'm quiet and I'm by myself and I'm trying to figure out what is Melchizedek trying to tell me, what is God trying to tell me, I'm feeling all kinds of strange emotion. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? What need do I have that is not being met? As I'm doing all of the stuff, I know there's going to be a gigantic leap forward because there will be a correction. It has happened with all the other instances when I was in a valley. So I welcome the moment when I am in that valley, when I am in that kind of like quiet mood. I've said this before. Ascension is a thin line that exists between doing and surrendering. And the surrendering implies listening to yourself, listening to what's happening internally, and sometimes listening to what your community, the people in your circle of influence, what they are feeling through social intelligence, to mirror a neuron, to kind of figure out how you can assist. So when we are in the valleys, when we're in the moment where things are going down, stop trying to badger yourself. And this is what I was telling my client. Stop pushing and badgering yourself and thinking, I got changed because I got sick, because I'm not as fat as I used to be. No, you're better. Because now you're more self-reflective. Whereas before you would jump to conclusion and say things that were and make decisions that maybe have made money, but that created all kinds of other catastrophic things as well. To be slower and to take great care in making a decision is actually better. I have this thing about when people contact me, and this is even in mass media, by the way. Somebody tried to join, connect to me on Facebook or any other mass media platform. A lot of time I don't respond right away. Sometime I met somebody, we became friends. She was like, I can't believe it took you 4 months to respond to my friend request on Facebook. it takes me a minute to assimilate, to process certain things. Like a lot of time people send me email, I would bookmark all of the email that I receive, but I'm not going to respond right away because I need to respond from an ascended way, whether it's a positive response or a negative response or a boundary response. A lot of time, because there's a lot of troll online, there's a lot of time people say things to you that they should not be saying, but I have to respond from a God perspective. Because initially, when I want to respond, it's the shadow that exists in me was going to come out, and it's going to take no prisoner. And I have to say, no, it's not coming from God. Therefore, a lot of time I would even begin to write the email or write the response on mass media to somebody saying something to me, and I would literally delete it at the last minute. I'm like, I'm not sending it. I'm leaving it in draft, or I will delete it completely. And I said, I will sleep on it, and tomorrow, after I think about it, I take my time, I will respond to it. Better you take your time and react from an ascended and healing way rather than you responding quickly just so that you can win and you can have one over somebody else. Any questions, any comments? Now, if we're talking about the beyond time and space and shifting our entrepreneur out into externally into the world to try to create a measure of God that will consider the interdependence of all being in our universe and try to change temporarily the laws of nature to heal, to repair, to protect, and to be of service. That's the aim. And this is the power that I was talking about that exists in this order, in the order of Melchizedek of neutrality. This is the power. Yet to activate that power requires a tremendous amount of work. As some of you have said to me, when I do it, certain things happen, things begin to change in the room, but it took me years of connection to Melchizedek to get to that point. How do we do it, and how do we connect to it? I'm going to give you some hints. I'm going to give you, and I'm going to do a meditation with you. And to all of you who are present today, in the morning, you will have that meditation in your inbox for you to do. And it is connected to a mantra that all beings who have become the Buddha have repeated over and over and over for thousands of times, called the Prajnaparamitra. And it is the following: Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi Soha. That's the sentence. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi Soha. And it translates as the following: gone, gone, gone over, gone fully over, awake or enlightenment, it is done. And the gate, the gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over, it's the begone time and space. What you're asking to be gone is everything that related to the attachment that you have to this world. Now, the way to activate this, you need to get a Buddhist 108 bead mala. You can find it on Amazon. This was $10. This is a sandalwood mala. You can, if you go on Amazon and you type in sandalwood mala, you can, or your crystal store, it doesn't matter. Something simple. Now, when you're going to repeat, and the reason it's 108, because you need to repeat this. It takes between 5 to 7 minutes to do it. When you're doing it in the morning or in the evening, it doesn't matter. And when you do it, you're holding, you need the beads, it's like a rosary, to keep, so that you repeat exactly 108. So gate, gate, paragate, parasam, gate, bodhisattva. Next bead, gate, gate, paragate, parasam, gate, bodhisattva. Next bead, gate, and until you say it 108 times. But when you're saying it, you have to hold in your consciousness the following. You're asking for your attachment to the physical world, to the 3D world, to be released, to be gone, so that you can embrace what exists in that fog. Whatever is emerging, you're going to try to embrace it. That's what you're doing. Now, when you get a mala, and I have, this is my own personal mala around my neck now. They are all kinds. There are those like this one that are a little bit more expensive. They're made of different stone and special beads, special wood, etc. They're all kinds. But to start, get a simple one. But when you have a mala, you're not to give it to anyone, particularly when you're praying with it, because it holds your karma and also your liberation. Because as you hold the bead and you say the prayer is being imbued with the state of consciousness that you're emancipating into. And if you give it to somebody, and let somebody else touch it, you're allowing your karma to intermix with someone else. I would not recommend it. Keep it to yourself and hold it. And as you continue to repeat it over and over again, it will eventually and I can tell you, as I'm saying every morning I say 108. As I'm saying it, before I even get to the 108, way before my consciousness begin to transform, I am finding myself at the edge of the white space. I can feel myself going into transcendence. Now, the reason you're doing this is because you're trying to cleanse not only your karma and your attachments to physical things in this world, but you're also trying to, so that when you project the bigger on time and space, the access or the antakarana can actually manifest outside. Any questions, any comments? If you already have a mala and you want to use it, that's fine as well. It's just that even for the torsion field, for example, I count with my hands, because as I'm asking first guardian, second guardian to come in, third guardian, fourth, there comes a point where one of the guardian pulls me outside of time and space, and I don't remember where I am. So I count with my hands. First guardian, second guardian, third, fourth. I count with my hand. Fifth, sixth, so that I remember where I am. So this is a way, since it's 108 and I don't have 108 fingers, so not in this lifetime anyway. So I need something else to guide, to help me. And in Tibetan Buddhism, the mala, and even in Hinduism, the mala becomes very important, because it's connected to you and your growth, because you're using it as a tool to help you pray and to help you liberate. And as things begin to be undone for you, the mala hold the energy of the liberation with you, in you. It holds it, and it becomes very sacred and very connected to you. This is why in many films, you would see a lot of the monks would have the mala around their neck. That's what the mantra they use on a daily basis to repeat their mantras. Now, this is one mantra. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of mantra, but this is a mantra that every Buddha has repeated for thousands and thousands of times. And I have to tell you, there is a gigantic egregore or group body that's connected to this. By you doing it 108 times, you're going to notice a dramatic difference in the shift of your consciousness. Because there's a huge group body. There are so many people for over 2,000 years that have used this chant, this mantra, as a tool to go into illumination. Now, speaking of group body, I just wanted, because we belong to multiple group bodies. We've spoken about this in other classes before. The fact that I am a man and the fact that you're a woman, the fact that you're a certain race, the fact that you are an architect, you're a singer, you're a cobbler, we belong to multiple group bodies. You like this football team, you like this political party, you like this. We belong to a lot of different group bodies. I want you to understand that the ultimate group body that we belong to is that each one of us is a Melchizedek. We may not be realized as a Melchizedek, but we all are connected to it. Any questions before I proceed further? Any comments? Okay. So what I want to talk about next, we are spoken so far about projecting the Antakarana out by saying the begone time and space. Janice, you had asked me several times before in previous classes when I was demonstrating how to do this, how to actually connect the begone time and space within us. As of recently of this week, Lord Melchizedek has upgraded the torsion field to include the begone time and space, where we create an alignment to his celestial axis, because the technology of the torsion alliance of light, that entire collective is subset or overlit by Lord Melchizedek. So what happened is that you would start normally, and the Guardian Alliance of Light offers to give you their shield of light protection and the band of neutrality. If you're ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively and let the energy of the first guardian come at the bottom of your feet, rising up, counter-rotating, moving through you, passing through the top of your head, exiting outside of your head and going now into source and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Having done and said and experienced all of this, then added at the very end of this, begone time and space as a decree. And waiting for the effect that this is going to create. The change and the transformation in the 4D that this is going to create. Then the axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, rotating clockwise, coming down from source, spinning, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, going to the bottom of your feet, and into the core of the earth, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. And this gets repeated 12 times until the last torsion field is created. And as such, it will completely shift Well, you'll see when I do meditation. Question, yes.
Yes, is it the begone time and space at the end of each of the 12 torsion fields is begone attachments to this world? Is that what we're banishing?
You're banishing the entire dimension. You're going back into God.
Oh, the entire
Because
dimension that
the first
each
one,
guardian has
yeah,
introduced. So the fourth dimension for the first guardian, and
yes,
then
the
so
fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and
I see.
you're removing your connection, any attachment you may have to all of them.
Oh, okay. So banishing the dimension that each of the guardian or collective of guardians at each level has brought to us with their
No,
touch.
the guardians are already neutral. Okay, they're bringing you their neutrality. In that neutrality, you're you're projecting a measure of God. You're creating a measure of God in each of this dimension. Okay, and you haven't put anything in it yet. You're creating a vessel. You see what I'm saying? You're creating a vessel. So in 4D, you're creating a vessel where you're becoming so neutral. If anything, what you're doing when you get into the neutrality of the guardian, you're saying begone time and space around yourself, the version of yourself that exists in 4D, to accept the neutrality, to let the neutrality nest in to create a measure of God. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. So begone the lack of neutrality
That's
in that
correct.
dimension. Oh, okay. Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes. And you're doing this at all levels so that you will allow the neutrality to come in. And by the time it's done, it creates this incredible alignment that you will witness in about 10 minutes when we do the meditation. You will witness it. You will realize that it's there. And it will and after that you can put any intention in. Help heal me, help repair me, do whatever it is that is important to you. It creates a connection to your actual verticality that is not describable by words. I remember years ago, somebody had asked me, can you prove that God exists? And I said to him, no, but I can take you to God. I can shift you somewhere where you will experience what God is. I cannot prove it to you, but I can shift you. You know that old saying from the Caribbean that I love to talk about all the time? You have to know there to go there. I can show you how to go there. So the idea of connecting, because the guardian is still part of that collective. So you begone time and space is casting your own, it's removing your attachments to things in those dimensions that are keeping you away from being a true Melchizedek. Accepting neutrality and resonating that frequency and that vibration in a way that will allow for you to become a real and a true Melchizedek. I guarantee you, if you do this every day, within a year from now, by next December 8th, you are gonna be able to project out the begone time and space, because having done this for 365 days, when you say begone time and space, that entire axis will move out because it already exists in you. as above and so below, as within, so without. If you're doing it on a daily basis. So what I do first, I do my mala. Gate, gate, paragate. And when I'm done with this, I do the new version of the torsion field, the updated version. Now, when you do it, it's not irrelevant. You can do it morning, night. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yes.
Yeah, please, a question again. I'm sorry. This doesn't replace the other work that we're doing with the Dantian and querying and whatnot, right? I mean, we could banish all conflicts or lack of neutrality in each of the dimensions and otherwise sidestep the other work that we need to do. But what's the difference?
Okay, so what happened is that it's service that's the difference. The reason you're doing this is because when you establish this connection to the your antakarana by banishing time and space out, you know how you were asking me months ago, you can't project it or create the vibrational change that I can create. That's the reason why, because you don't have that connection. If you do this, you will have it. And you will have it not only within, but also without. And more importantly, a lot of times when you do this, particularly after I do the torsion field with all that, a lot of the query and the information that would otherwise be a challenge for me, the answers come a lot easier.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
Everything becomes a lot easier. I feel literally blessed, and I have a lot of gratitude, and a lot of the things that were a conflict are no longer a conflict for me.
Mhm.
I'm able to see and be more compassionate toward others, whereas before I would have problems. I should have this conversation with this person because I don't think all of that begins to fade away. I begin to realize the real motives behind what they're doing, and I would then type an email and said, I understand that you're having these issues, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. A lot of times I surprise people and I have a few people that accuse me of witchcraft, okay? Sorcery or doing black magic, because I know things that I'm not supposed to know. That's how I know it. Because I don't, it's not something I abuse, but it's something that sometimes in trying to be expedient in my interrelationship with other people, a lot of time I realize that they have secret agenda and motives, and they're hiding and they're doing other things. I offer them an olive branch by telling them, I believe that the reason why you're doing this is XYZ and XYZ. And if it is the case, I am proposing this conflict resolution. I put it on the table. I said, instead of dancing around the same thing over and over again and not saying it, I suspect that you might be embarrassed by not saying it. Forgive me if this is incorrect, but I suspect that's what it is. And if it is this, here is a solution set that I'm proposing. I guarantee you for my life right now, every time I say this and I approach someone else this way, they may initially be shocked for about a week or a week and a half, and then they respond back. They said, you were absolutely correct. How did you know? So when you do this, the liberation, the light that it shines is so all-encompassing that the conflicts that are internal to you or even interrelated to you with other people begin to resolve themselves out. They thin out. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll do the new version of the torsion field that I just spoke about. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into our lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachment, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And the guardian alliance of light approach you offering to gift you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian enter from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, passing through the bottom of your feet, moving through you, exiting outside of your head, going into souls, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, cascading down from souls, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting the bottom of your feet and going to the core of the earth, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, counter-rotating, initiated in the core of the earth, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into souls, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, cascading down from souls while rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of your head, passing through you, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts down the energy of the fifth guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into source, while creating all around you the chosen field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts down the energy of the sixth guardian, rotating clockwise and coming in from source, dropping into the top of your head, moving through your entire core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the very center of the earth, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts down the energy of the seventh guardian, coming in from the core of the earth while rotating counterclockwise, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into source, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts down the energy of the eighth guardian, cascading down from source while rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, going to the core of the earth, and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the night guardian coming in from the core of the earth. Counter rotating. Moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through your core, exiting outside of your head and going into source, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian, cascading down from source, while rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, descending through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and grounding into the very core of the earth, while creating a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian, counter rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, rising and passing through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of your head extends. And it attracts now the energy of the 12 and final guardian, cascading down from source, while rotating clockwise, moving through the top of your head, passing through your core, exiting the bottom of your feet, and going to the core of the earth, while creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. Observe the 12 counter-rotating axes that are spinning in your core. I stand in spiritual rectitude and verticality, for I am the celestial axis. I am healed. I am fixed designed. I am Melchizedek. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you, Pierre, and thank you, Lord Melchizedek.
You feel the verticality, right?
I feel very attached to the right way, unattached to the things I need to unattach to.
Beautiful, beautiful. You're welcome, you're welcome, Janice. And I want to thank all of you for listening to us tonight. And like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for all your support on Patreon. Blessings, everyone. Good night, and I'll talk to all of you next week. Blessings, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Love you all.